Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Grice. I'm here with my good friend, Susan Aarup, and we're going to talk about transitioning from one state to another.
Thanks, Mike. Hello, everyone. I am Susan, and I recently moved from Chicago to Denver, Colorado. Well, I can't believe, Mike, it's already been like 2 months. It seems like it just happened. And it's been a learning experience.
What actually made this process come about
Well,
for the audience?
I went, it's kind of funny. My partner was going on vacation, and he helps me on the weekends. So I told him, since he was going on vacation without me, I was going on a vacation without him. So I have some friends in Colorado that are members of National Adapt. So I called up my friend, and she said, come on down. Come on over. It's actually up and over. She said, come on down. We'll get everything set up, and you can come visit. Well, at the time, I was only working part-time, and they had just cut my hours with my current job that I had to 3 days a week. So I said, darn it, I've got to find a job. Can you help me? And she said, well, yeah, the Center for Independent Living is looking at some job openings, so I'll put in a word for you. So I was like, okay, great, I'll go down and visit the center, because the center the Independent Living Center is part of National Adapt. It's the birthplace of Adapt. So I'd been there before, and I knew some people in Denver, so I thought, oh gee, it wouldn't be too, at least I would know somebody. So I applied while I was down there, and I interviewed 4 different times for a team lead position and for independent living. And I'm like, well, I'd been looking for a job full time for 10 years, couldn't find one in Illinois, couldn't find one in California. I've been going all over. So I figured, what do I get to lose? So I was real honest, and I interviewed with them, and I interviewed 4 times with them. And so I went there on a vacation, and I came back with the job offer because I got it.
What are some of the things that you did not expect versus some of the things that have been difficult for you?
Well, I had to move twice because my first apartment that I found was not the most accessible. It had too many walls for the bathroom, so I couldn't get into the bathroom. So that was a little bit hard. So I moved twice within the space of 5 weeks. So that was unexpected.
What's been some of the changes as far as services in Denver versus in Illinois?
Well, in Denver and Illinois, it's all bureaucratic, more or less. But Colorado has more options for services, but it takes just as long to get services in Colorado as it does in Illinois. We might be a little bit faster, but not by much. And I wasn't ready for the bureaucracy of it, and I'm working full time, so it's hard to be able to talk to them when the office is open at the same time I'm working. So that's been quite a bit of a challenge. And our office right now is under construction because they're building a whole new Atlantis, which will be better. It's a museum. But to Atlantis' credit, they hired me. I am so happy to be working. I love to work. And it is possible to get your services and be able to work because they have the Medicaid buy-in, which is a little bit different than working on the home services. Same principle, just more options, because I have a PA now that I hired, and they work for an agency. But if he's not available, I can have the agency come in as a backup if he's not available. So somebody knows when I can call somebody when I need help a little bit sooner.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate. Do you still have the control?
Yeah.
With an agency?
Yeah, because the agency is the backup. So you can still interview people who work at the agency. Because for me, they need to be strong, being able to transfer. Because if you can't transfer me or use a Hoyer lift, then it's not gonna work for you. You know.
I know one of the very important issues that you and I worked a lot on when you were here in Illinois was transportation. So, can you speak briefly about the transportation system in Denver?
Well, it's similar to here. They cover a wider range of area than we do. The whole area covers our 9 counties, and the fare that you pay is based on where you go in the metro area. So some places are further than others, but you can and they have buses, and like I said with the cabs, they do assess a cab, but those take 2 hours. So, and like I don't know if you've heard on the news, but it's been on national news that Denver is experiencing a shortage of all drivers. Drivers on buses, drivers on trains, drivers on Access-a-Ride. So when I first started, I hadn't even been there like 3 days. And I met people from Cross Disability Colorado Coalition who were doing paratransit work. And they wanted to know how the paratransit compared in Denver versus Colorado. And what's a good thing in Denver is that you can book your ride either a day in advance or 5 days. But the hours of operation for the reservations are 8 to 5 every day. So it's a little longer here in Illinois.
What about the accessibility of clinics, hospitals?
Oh, that's wonderful. Before I left, I got hooked up with some people from here at Northwestern. My doctor hooked me up with his friends in Colorado. But the thing is, you can't have the Medicaid in 2 different states at the same time. I had to stop Medicaid in Illinois, which just happened yesterday. And then it'll transfer over to Colorado. But it's just telling, in Colorado, they wanted me to have my own advocate. Well, and then they wouldn't talk to me until I had a different advocate. I'm like, that's kind of stupid because it's my life. I do advocacy for a living, so I think I know what I'm talking about.
What important issues are you working on to assist consumers in Denver right now?
Well, transportation is the big one.
And as you know, a very important issue here for consumers with disabilities is durable medical equipment.
We have the same fight in Colorado, and we have new motion to end national seating, and we've been meeting with them periodically too. In fact, Atlantis has a donor equipment program, which takes medical equipment and gives it to people.
How does the educational system work in Denver for students with disabilities?
Most of them that I've seen have the IEPs and are mainstreamed in the Denver schools. And we work with kids and advocacy groups for the IEPs. And so that's something that we're going to continue.
How are you dealing with the different elements of the weather?
Oh, the weather over there is wonderful. I know right now we have a snowstorm because they dumped 18. They say there was like 20 inches. in Denver today, but usually it's like 60. And when I came on Friday, because I came home on Friday, it was 71. And I can walk to work from my new place.
What are some of the difficulties between Department of Rehabilitation Services in Denver versus Illinois?
They're both pretty bureaucratic, but they respect advances. So, I mean, kind of like if people from Access would call voc rehab, they kind of pay attention. They are a little bit more progressive, but they're still bureaucratic. We just hosted some listening sessions with the city of Denver, and we have a benevolence grant that we can tap into for money. So, and then that money can go to our consumers for transition services and housing. Some of them like security deposits.
How are the restaurants as far as accessibility and being accommodating?
Well, downtown is pretty accessible. Where I was is pretty accessible. They're accommodating. They don't always like anywhere. They don't always like to cut up the food or whatever. But for the most part, it's okay. And I definitely prefer to eat at home as much as I can, or vegetables. I have a friend in Denver. Once a week or once every 2 weeks, we get together and we do dinner and we talk. And so he's been real supportive. He was supportive when I went out there in August to visit.
Have you had much contact with your legislators in Denver, considering you've only been here a short time?
Some, but not too much. But they already voted in the primary and I missed it because I was working late. So I didn't get to vote in the primary. But I had been there long enough because you only had to be there for 30 days. And I was there for 35, so. But I really want to start doing some more outreach, and I know I'm in touch with DSA, Democratic Socialists of America in Denver, and some single-payer activists, and kind of doing some collaboration type stuff.
That's cool.
And my director is pretty open to that. So I'm getting used to it. It was hard at first because I hadn't worked full time in so long that I was so tired, but now I'm getting used to it, and I'm really enjoying my advocacy and working with people and trying to be the best supervisor I can be, because I supervise 6 people. So that means that they trust me, which I haven't had that in a long time. And then I've got some other feelers out for other things too, so it looks, hopefully I'll be there for a while. I hope so.
Well, thanks a lot. This has been a great experience. It's been a learning experience for me, and we're glad to have you back in Chicago.
Oh, I'll come back periodically. Chicago's my home, and I have friends, and you're here, but before, and you're welcome to come visit, so anytime.
Yeah, I'm often asked now, Mike, have you heard from Susan? Because I still have some of the connections that we were working with before you left Chicago.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard, left my friends, and I have friends there, but not the same.
Change is always somewhat difficult.
Yeah. And plus you're not there, but you're only a phone call away.
But you're still doing good work, and that's what we love.
Well, thank you.
We have to keep up the fight.
Oh, and it's really nice to see, but that's one thing I learned, is that the fighting, we have to keep up the fight everywhere, because people with disabilities were not heard, and that's across the country. So we gotta keep doing what we're doing.
And as we always say, ladies and gentlemen, nothing about us without us.
Nothing about us without us, and we're gonna be in it for the long haul. Thanks a lot.